Here's an interesting little question for you. What's the difference between a problem and a fact? Well, most people would tell you that problems can be solved and facts just are. Facts are things that you can't change, either because they're beyond your control or because they're things that are in the past and therefore have already happened, or just things about normal reality, like the fact that the world goes around the sun and birds fly, things like that. The problem a lot of the people I work with have is they try to deal with facts as if they were problems. They try to solve the unsolvable. And when they can't manage to do that, they become angry or anxious or depressed, instead of learning to accept reality the way that it is. People will refuse to accept the world the way that it is, and that just makes them miserable. Don't waste your time trying to solve things that are insoluble. I want to introduce you to a little concept that, as far as I'm aware, first comes from a guy called Epictetus, who was an ancient Stoic. And Epictetus talked about the things we can control, the things we can influence, the things we're interested in, and the things that just aren't important to us anyway. And what he said was, there are only a few things you can control. You can control your thoughts, your feelings, your body to a greater or lesser extent, the state of your health, for example, and your behaviours. That's it. That's all you've got. It's all any of us have got. Our thoughts, our feelings, our bodies, and our behaviours. You can use those things, those thoughts, feelings, physiology, and behaviours. You can use those things to influence others. For example, if my behaviour is to take a gun and point it at you and say, give me all your money, that's a strong influence. It's not control, but it's an influence. We know it's not control because you might choose to die, and in fact some people do and have, in the right circumstances, chosen to die rather than give away their children's inheritance, for example. So it's not control. There's still the wild card. But you would be amazed at the amount of people who come into mental health care because they cannot force another person to do what they want. Well, no, you can't. So don't waste your energy trying to do the impossible. You can exert your influence, hopefully ethically, but that's it. That's all you've got. It might still not work and you need to deal with that. But then there are things that we can't even influence, like the weather, for example. You can't control the weather. If you book a nice holiday, and then it turns out that when you get there, several months later, there's a freak storm and the weather's awful and the holiday cottage that you booked has been flooded out, well, there's no point in getting angry or upset about that because it's a fact. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. So the better thing to do is to work on what you can control, which is your attitude and your behaviour in finding ways to enjoy yourself anyway. Or just give up and go home. I remember doing that on a camping trip once. It was a good decision and I enjoyed the rest of the week at home. At least I wasn't at work, you know? So it's important for all of us to understand the difference between what we can control, what we can influence, and what we just need to accept. What's the difference between a problem and a fact?